Hi everybody, I want to show you today a little bit around the Compare site and show you a little bit about how it works so that those of you who are investigating different institutions will know how to use this site a little bit better. So you've got two options when you're using this site. You can either browse all institutions, and so that will give you an overview of the different universities and generally what they're good at and what they, what people say about them. The browse all study areas focuses in on a particular study area and what people have said about that university. So that one might be of more use. If I go into that one, then you can choose your study area. So if you look here, you've got different options that you can select. So it depends on the degree that you're interested in, where it might appear under these different classifications. So nursing is one that a number of people have spoken to me about. So I'm going to go into nursing. And what it says here is that it's showing 36 of the 38 institutions that offer degrees in nursing. You can see that when they say undergraduate, that they are bachelor degrees that you would apply for. So you've got the Australian Catholic University, Allenvale University College, which is in New South Wales, Charles Darwin University, which is in the Northern Territory. So you can filter the list. So I might say, well, I'm really only interested in a couple of different locations. So I might say, I wouldn't mind going to Victoria or Tasmania. So you can filter your list in that way. We've got undergraduates selected, so let's have a little bit of a look. So you can see here that sometimes others will come up if they have campuses in Victoria, even though their main area might be like Charles Darwin in the Northern Territory. And so then you can choose the ones that you want to compare. So you might say, well, I've heard a lot about Deakin for nursing, so I'm going to put Deakin in my list to compare. And you might say, well, Monash is a big university that I've heard the name of and know a bit about, so I'll put Monash in. You might think, well, Swinburne's one that I haven't actually heard a lot about, so maybe I'd like to know more about that one. And Tasmania is one that I want to know more about because it's the local one that doesn't cost anything to apply for. So I'll put that on the list. Now you can have up to 6 different institutions in any one option to compare. So once we've got the ones that we want to look at in, we're going to go compare. And we can go compare now. We've got our different study areas for under the area of nursing. So let's go compare. And here are the things that it's showing you. So under current student experience, we can see how the different universities relate or rate in those areas. So we can see that Deakin rates highly, and it's actually the average is 76.2, and they're above the average. And you can see how the others, including Tasmania, rate all of them above the average. Deakin the highest, Tasmania the lowest. Then you keep scrolling down and it'll show you something else. Here is where the people who are answering this survey were positive about their skill development. And again, you can see Deakin's got a really high value there, and not so much for Swinburne and Tasmania, but Monash is very high as well. Rated teaching practices positively, again you can see they're all pretty much of a muchness there, and the national average was 78.4, so they're all above the national average. We're positive about their interactions with staff and students. So you can see the national average is only 62, and well, Tasmania doesn't rate very highly there. Deakin and Monash do, Swinburne in between. So once you've had a look at that and you've got information about the facilities, and Swinburne actually rates very highly there, as does Deakin. Support services, what they say about support services, and Tassie a little bit below the average, the rest of them above the average. Swinburne again, quite high. So once you get to the end of that, then have a look at what recent graduates have said in terms of satisfaction. So they were satisfied with how their skills improved. Now, we don't have any data from Swinburne, and you can look at why that might be. But when we look here, we've got 81.5 for Tasmania, Monash 86.7, and Deakin. So it looks like we won't get any information here from Swinburne. This one is overall satisfaction. They're all above the national average, with Monash just that tiny little bit above Deakin there. They were satisfied with the teaching practices. Now this is interesting, isn't it? Because the national average is only 59.6%, and Tassie actually rates the highest there. So satisfied with teaching practices. Monash quite low, and in fact below the national average, and Deakin not very high. Last one to look at is recent graduate employment and salary. So this is worth a look too. Found full-time employment, and Deakin on 85%, and Tasmania nearly 85%. So they're the two highest, Monash a little bit lower. Found employment, so difference between full-time employment and just employment. So they're all pretty much of a muchness there, very high in terms of the percentages of their students. Continued in full-time study, a number of them in Tasmania continued in full-time study, a smaller percentage from Deakin and Monash. The median salary, so 50% of the graduates earn 65,000 or more. In Tasmania, 56,000 or more from Deakin University, 55,000 or more from Monash. So that's just a bit of a snapshot, and obviously you can put different institutions in. You can also look at just the institution themselves rather than a study area, but that hopefully makes this site a little bit more useful to you. And remember that it's just one tool of many ways of exploring whether you are going to study at a particular university or not. So just realise that it's just based on people's responses to surveys, but it can be quite interesting to have a look. Okay, one other thing to mention to you today is that for the University of Tasmania, their enrolments for early offers has closed. That closed a little while ago, but their applications for next year's study are still going to be open using this school recommendation process until November. So you've still got plenty of time, if you missed the early offer round, to still apply if you're interested in doing so. We're going to be spending the next lesson, on doing some more of our research number 2. Okay, remember to date those websites on the back of your worksheet and try and get this one done today if we can. Thanks. Catch you later. Bye.